What's the password?
Password? Right. Let's see. Scuttled bones.
Better hurry, we're just about to start.
Welcome, my fellow Jolly Rogers.
know that
We
voice.
have several pressing matters to discuss this evening, so let us begin. As you may or may not have heard, certain city officials are attempting to deny us the right not only to gather in public places during the Mardi Gras season, but they have also seen fit to...
Shoot, I forgot to turn off my cell phone.
It seems we have an uninvited guest. Get him!
Let go! You're making a big mistake! Let go of me! Look, I'm not here to make trouble. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Can't we just talk about this? Where are you taking me? If you just let me explain.
Why, it seems our trespasser is of the female variety. Let's have a look.
That's right. You know me and I know you, Dr. Buford. And I also know that you were the one who attacked my friend over at the Bolet mansion today. And if you don't tell me why right now, I promise you, you are going to be in one big world of hurt.
The young lady's clearly upset about something. Clarence, take over the meeting while I try to find out why she's making all these crazy accusations.
They're not crazy and you know it.
I will tell you everything, Miss Marvin, in private.
And he did. He told me everything, Nancy. I bluffed him into confessing. You would have been so proud of me. Oh, and before I forget, the name they chanted at the start of the meeting was Jean Lafitte.
Jean Lafitte. Great. Now, what did Dr. Buford tell you?
Okay. First off, he said that with his dying breath, Bruno Bolet directed him to steal the painting of Henry's parents and lock it up in Henry's parents' crypt. Bruno seemed to think that way Henry would wind up with the crystal skull instead of somebody else.
So Dr. Buford dressed up in his skeleton man costume, stole the canvas, and hid it in the crypt like Bruno asked.
That must have been when Renee saw Mr. Death.
But then, Dr. Buford had second thoughts and decided to heck with Henry. He wanted that crystal skull for himself. So this afternoon, he dressed up in his skeleton man costume again and snuck into Henry's house so he could get the key from that mini cemetery and retrieve the painting he'd left in that crypt, knowing the painting would somehow lead him to the skull.
Only I walked in on him and ruined everything.
Right. And now that we're onto him, he says he no longer wants the skull. He's embarrassed that he allowed his superstitious side to get the best of him and says whoever finds the skull is welcome to it. At least that's what Dr. Buford said. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, what?
I told him you were looking for the skull.
That's all right.
Actually, I told him you were on the verge of finding it.
Why would you tell him that?
I don't know, I got carried away. So if he lied to me, and he really does still want the skull, then he might come after you. He left right after we talked, and I don't think he went back into that meeting. What if he's on his way over there?
Don't worry, I'll be fine. Why don't you just... Whoa, that bolt of lightning was huge. Anyway, why don't you just go relax and I'll be back at the hotel before you know it, okay? Bess? Hello? Bess, you there? Nope, she sure isn't.
Hello again.
I think I found the letter that Dr. Bolet was reading when he had his fatal heart attack. Iggy the iguana had taken it. Apparently, Dr. Bolet did have a crystal skull and believed possessing it would make him immortal. So he had it tested, and the lab sent him its findings in this letter. Read the second paragraph.
My analysis showed that the skull, while made of remarkably pure crystal, was carved using modern instruments. In layman's terms, the skull is a fake.
My guess is Dr. Bolet believed in the skull so completely that when he read it was a fake, he was totally devastated, and his heart just stopped. But what I don't quite understand is, why did you tell me you didn't know about the crystal skull when this letter indicates you did?
All right. Dr. Bolet told me about the skull. As you said, he believed with all his might owning that skull was the reason he was still going strong at 95. I lied to you because, well, for one thing, Dr. Bolet swore me to secrecy. And for another, he kept the skull hidden. And up until just this minute, I wanted to be the one who found it.
What made Dr. Bolet decide to have the skull authenticated?
Getting the skull tested was my idea. When Dr. Bolet told me about it, I was skeptical and that troubled him. So I helped him find a private laboratory where we could take it so any and all doubts would be dispelled once and for all. I certainly did not anticipate that the truth would result in his keeling over and dying like that. Well, now that I too know that the skull's a fake, I can stop fretting over its whereabouts. In fact, I should probably thank you and Iggy for setting me straight.
I'd better get going.
Come see me any time.
Yes?
How come your great-uncle's crypt is in the garden and not in the cemetery?
Don't ask me. It's kind of weird. Apparently, he built the crypt himself, but he never indicated in his will or anywhere else that that's where he wanted to be buried. I stuck his ashes in there anyway and had the thing inscribed. If that's not what he wanted, too bad.
I'll check back with you later.
Groovy.
Nancy? That you in there? Goodness sakes, gal, what on earth have you gone and done?
The lid's closing and I don't know how to stop it.
Here, I'll pull you up. Toss what you're holding up here, then give me your hands. Come on, you best hurry.
Here it comes. Renee, a little help, please?
The crystal skull. After all that scheming, how do I finally get it? Why, this nice little Yankee gal just hands it to me.
Renee, help me! Hurry, please!
Thank you, Nancy. Bye now.
No! You've got to help me! Renee! Renee! Renee, hold it right there. That skull isn't yours. To say nothing of the fact that you just tried to bury me alive.
The skull is mine. It wants to be mine. Yes, I did my share of scheming to get it. I got Dr. Bolet to go to the authenticators, then switched the letter they wrote saying it was real with one I wrote saying it was fake, in hopes that Dr. Bolet would just hand it over to me. Yes, my plan failed, and yet, here we are. I have the skull. Why? Because it knows that I will fulfill its destiny.
Bruno Bolet wanted Henry to have it. That's why he had Gilbert Buford steal that painting and hide it in Henry's parents' crypt. Because he hoped that way Henry would eventually find it.
Henry's a fool. If he ever got his hands on this, he would just turn around and give it to that trashy girlfriend of his. Dr. Bolet, he just wanted it because he was terrified of dying. Gilbert Buford, too. And that Lamont fella, he just wants to sell it to the highest bidder. But me, my motives are pure. I am going to protect it so it can rendezvous with all those other skulls. I'm going to be right there when they start conversing, and all the mysteries of the universe are forever solved. Ah! No, 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 come back!
Renee burst into tears and sobbed as Bernie swam away with a crystal skull. It made me feel sorry for her for about 2 seconds. After all, while she may not have meant to cause Bruno's death, she certainly meant to cause mine when she left me sealed up in that crypt. It felt good to turn her over to the police. Later that night, Dr. Buford came over and apologized for knocking me out with that smoke bomb, and for allowing himself to think, even for a moment, that Bruno's crystal skull was anything more than a pretty piece of quartz. To make up for his shameful behavior, he insisted on taking Bess and me on a grand tour of New Orleans. Seeing the city through the eyes of someone who loves it as much as Dr. Buford was truly special. He invited Henry too, but Henry declined. He was still trying to process the fact that his great-uncle wanted him to have the skull. Henry always thought that to Bruno he was nothing more than an annoying family obligation, someone Bruno couldn't care less about. Yet Bruno's request of Dr. Buford, made with his dying breath, proved that he did care about Henry. Apparently, and unfortunately for Henry, Bruno was the type of man who just couldn't bring himself to say such things out loud. As for Lamont, when he heard what happened, he closed his shop, bought enough marshmallows to fill a swamp boat, and has been scouring the bayous ever since, kicking every log he comes to in hopes of finding Bernie and the crystal skull inside him. But Bernie has yet to turn up. Maybe the skull didn't agree with him. Maybe swallowing it caused him to stop associating the sound of a kicked log with yummy sweet things. In any case, the Whisperer has disappeared, lost to the world once again, which is totally fine by me.